Truth Unveiled here, and today I have some very important information to share with you. We're going to be talking about all of the spying that's been going on, but also telling you the bigger agenda behind it, and we're going to be starting with China specifically. Now, in case you have not heard about this, we're going to be going over it together where it says China bans 23 million from buying travel tickets as part of their social credit system. And by the way, if you do not think that this is coming to a police state near you, it's time to think again. And also, if you don't think that this is coming to a place near you, wherever you are in the world, it's also time to think again. Because this report right here says people accused of social offenses blocked from booking flights and train journeys. Now, we're also going to be talking about this in relation to the fusion centers later on in this video, but it says here, China has blocked millions of discredited travelers from buying plane tickets or train tickets as part of the country's controversial social credit system aimed at improving the behavior of citizens, according to them. According to the National Public Credit Information Center, Chinese courts banned would-be travelers from buying flights 17.5 million times by the end of 2018. Citizens placed on blacklists for social credit offenses were prevented from buying train tickets 5.5 million times. Now, there was a report that was released earlier this year that says, quote, once discredited, limited everywhere. The social credit system aims to incentivize trustworthy behavior through penalties as well as rewards. What reprogramming of the mind? The government wants you to be exactly like them, wants you to think like them, wants you to walk like them, which is what's asleep to the world around you, not anymore. This report from The Guardian also says, according to a government document about the system dating from 2014, the aim is to, quote, allow the trustworthy to roam everywhere under heaven while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step. But pay attention to this part where it says social credit offenses range from not paying individual taxes or fines to spreading false information and taking drugs. More minor violations include using expired tickets, smoking on a train, or not walking a dog on a leash. Now, let me ask you this question, because the question is this: how are they doing this? How do they know this? So if somebody in China is not walking their dog on a leash and they have a social credit offense, according to them, how do they know that? How does the government know all of this? Are they tracking their every move? Because it says local governments and agencies have been piloting aspects of the system, which will eventually give every Chinese citizen a personalized score. Critics said authorities in China were using technology and big data to create an Orwellian state of mass surveillance and control, which is exactly what's going on. And once again, if you don't think this is coming to a police state near you or anywhere around the world, it's time to think again, because if you're watching this video on a cell phone or on a mobile device or on a tablet, computer, gaming console, etc., well, you can bet that they're already doing the same thing for you regardless of where you are in the world, because what? They're able to track your every move with these cell phones and with all of this technology along with the streets, just like they do in China, how they already have facial recognition installed in the street lights wherever the people go to be able to track their every move, to be able to track what they're searching for, what they're looking up, and to see that if it's in compliance with the government. Because if not, well, guess what? Then they're on the red list, then they're on the ban list, and now China's already making it so that anybody who's opposed to the government or anyone who speaks up or anyone who they deem is a threat to the government can no longer even travel. What is this telling you? Then it talks about blacklists as well, but then the report goes on to say other penalties for individuals include being barred from buying insurance, real estate, or investment products. Companies on the blacklist are banned from bidding on projects or issuing corporate bonds. Wow. And not only can they not buy a plane ticket, they cannot even buy a train ticket. Now, we've also talked about this with America specifically when it comes to the documents on domestic terrorists. Because if you are watching this video or if your government deems you suspicious, well, guess what? You could be a terrorist according to your government, according to government documentation. If you identify as someone who is opposed to abortion or many other things, you could be considered a terrorist because of that. If you're watching this video right now, you could be considered a terrorist according to your government. And to fight off this threat of domestic terrorism, well, there needs to be taken action because of this, because they could make it so that it's the same thing in America and all over the world, just like with China, that, oh, all of a sudden you can no longer travel anymore. Oh, well, you could be a domestic terrorist, so we have to fight off this threat so you can no longer step outside your own house. Or if you do, they're going to be watching you. They're going to be monitoring you. Big Brother is watching. Now, the reason I'm showing you this picture when it comes to self-checkout that's commonly seen at most Walmarts and Sam's Clubs as well when it comes to what? Martial law, is because a lot of these self-checkout systems have what? They've installed facial recognition along with video cameras inside of their self-checkout. So when you're self-checking out at certain grocery stores, if you're doing this, they could be filming you and recording you. Now, it's bad enough that they're already filming and recording pretty much everywhere we go when it comes to our technological devices and etc. But now it's to the point, folks, where not only do they know what you're buying, what you're spending on, how much you're spending, what time you go to shop, if you're going with other people such as children or your relatives or whatever the case might be. Well, with these cameras everywhere, they can now see exactly what you're wearing when you shop. They can see everything about you. They know everything about you, and based on a pattern of it, they can try to track and tell the next time you're going to be shopping. But the problem with the sleeping public is that they think this is all right. They think this is normal. They think that, oh, there's nothing to it. Oh, there's nothing to see here. Oh, just keep going about our busy day. But there's going to come a time where all of that information could be used against you. And I'm telling you this to warn you and sound the alarm ahead of time so that you're not ignorant to these things in case you do not already know. Now, this was a news report I recently saw about QFC where it says QFC's new self-checkout cameras may send you back to human checkouts. And again, they're collecting everything about you, and the phone companies are in on it. Everyone's in on it. The banks are in on it. They all are in on it, and they're all collecting your information and sharing it with your government. Just like when it comes to store purchases as well. If you purchase with the credit card or a debit card, you can best believe that that's being reported to the government on your bank statements, because the report even says the most striking of these are at the self-checkouts, because they're pointed directly at your face and display it right back during those very non-photogenic times when customers are negotiating the delicate process of scanning items. And again, what they're really trying to do is they're really trying to learn your personality. They're trying to learn everything about you. They're trying to see exactly what you're going to say when you're shopping. They're trying to know every single little niche about you. And if you don't think that this is a problem, well, once again, it's time to think again, because you really need to make sure that your smartphones are not spying on you, because there have been some rumblings recently about smartphone apps using your phone's microphone to collect data on your TV and movie watching choices. Now, in case you did not already know this, it seems harmless, but if you grant permission to these apps to use your phone's microphone, they can listen to your life through the phone, even when the app is not being used. It's very important that you know about this if you already do not, that what? It's all about tracking. Same with these social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, etc. They're all being used to spy on people worldwide. And you might be wondering, well, why are they doing this? Why are they spying on people? The government has no right to be doing that. Again, they're doing it because when martial law is instituted in America, when this takes place, when the shutdown takes place, and in possibly other countries as well, they've already collected and gathered enough information on people to turn America and much of the world into an Orwellian police state, just as we're seeing with China. And as we've already gone over when it comes to Venezuela and what's been going on there, what they like to test it in different nations before they fully bring it to America and the rest of the world. And they've been doing this type of technology with China and now banning people from traveling. Because if you're considered a domestic terrorist in America, well, could they ban you from traveling and take away your little to no rights that you already don't have now? Now, we've talked about this before. I'm not going to go over it too much, but here I am at the DHS, or the Department of Homeland Security's website that talks about fusion centers. Now, in case you're new to this and do not know what fusion centers are, it's what? Your government's big collection agency for what? Spying techniques. And we're not going to go over all this, but I will link it in the description box below just so that you can see exactly what it is. Now, they give this quote right here that says, a fusion center is a collaborative effort of two or more agencies that provide resources, expertise, and information to the center with the goal of maximizing their ability to detect, prevent, investigate, and respond to criminal and terrorist activity. And that's going to be their excuse for all of this. That's their excuse for spying on people. Oh, we need to do it to protect Americans from so-called terrorism. Oh, we need to do it because there could be terrorism in America. That's their excuse for doing all of this. Do you see the bigger agenda that's right in front of you? Now, I've highlighted this part that says fusion centers conduct analysis and facilitate info sharing, assisting law enforcement and Homeland Security partners in preventing, protecting against, and responding to what they call crime and terrorism. Well, according to your own government, who is considered a terrorist? Here's a little bit more information on these fusion centers. Now, again, please keep in mind that these are all over the nation and they could be in multiple countries as well, because your governments are all in on this regardless of where you are, regardless of where you're listening to this video currently. But it says here, fusion centers contribute to the info sharing environment, or ISE, through their role in receiving threat info from the federal government. So again, who is a threat according to your federal governments? Analyzing that info in the context of their local environment, disseminating that info to local agencies, and gathering tips, leads, and suspicious activity reporting, or SAR, from local agencies and the public. And this explains what? This could even explain targeted individuals and everything when it comes to stalking, gang stalking, and the list goes on. Fusion centers receive info from a variety of sources, because what your government does is they hire secret people and secret agents in place to start spying on those who they deem are a threat, and they even have your police involved as well, including SAR from stakeholders within their jurisdictions, as well as federal info and intelligence. They analyze the info and develop relevant products to disseminate to their customers. Has this ever happened to you where you're speaking out loud and you're talking about a product, or you're talking about something, or maybe you're hungry and you're talking about going to a specific restaurant, and about 5 or 10 minutes later or so, that restaurant that you were talking about appears on your phone or appears somewhere as an advertisement? Do you think that's a surprise or a coincidence? Once again, it's part of the spying techniques. And again, as we've talked about before, they can even use your dishwasher to spy on you as well, because these products assist Homeland Security partners at all levels of government to identify and address immediate and emerging threats. On your smart television or your smartphone or your smart whatever, why is it so smart? When you look at your television, and if your television just so happens to have that red light on, even though the television is off, is your television really watching you? Is your television secretly recording you? What about that bush that's disguised to look like a bush, or even a cactus that's disguised to look like a cactus? Because what? Here we are, and I've done this before, but we're showing you some cell phone towers disguised to look like something else. Now, I will leave this in the description box below, but what? Cell tower cactus in Arizona. Because it looks like a cactus, doesn't it? Well, maybe not. How about this super tree? Because it looks just like all the other trees. Or is there something that's just not right about it? I'm telling you, it's this covert, and there's more pictures that's in the description box below that you can take a look at. What about this seemingly innocent palm tree? Because is it really a palm tree? It's not looking like it. Now, it's been a long while since looking at this report that says Project Megiddo, which is an FBI strategic assessment of the potential for what they call domestic terrorism in the U.S., undertaken in anticipation of or response to the arrival of the new millennium when it came to Y2K. Now, what they want you to think that, oh, this was in preparation for the year 2000, but really this is in preparation for what? For martial law. And so what are some of the groups that they consider could be domestic terrorists? Well, Christians, white supremacists, militias such as veterans, black Hebrew Israelites, apocalyptic cults. And anyone who is opposed to the New World Order, or anyone who claims that it's a conspiracy theory, even though George H.W. Bush talked about it 10 years exactly before 9/11 on a public announcement. Anyone who is opposed to gun control laws, or anyone who is opposed to abortions, or anyone who is against the New World Order, and anyone against the government schemes, or anyone exposing these things. That's why Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and etc. They're what? They're heightening their censorship techniques. But the truth will continue to be revealed to you indeed, and they're not going to stop it. Now, this is another document that was done by the DHS that was done a couple of years ago, back in 2009, about right-wing extremism and their analysis on this. Because again, folks, they do not consider even murderers to be terrorists. They consider people right here in America, right here, who are opposed to their plans and who are exposing it as potential so-called terrorists. Now, this document is only a few pages long as well, and I'll link it in the description box below, but it even says here, key findings, that domestic right-wing terrorists, as they call, are currently planning acts of violence, but right-wing extremists may be gaining new recruits by playing on their fears about several emergent issues. And then it talks about threats from white supremacist and violent anti-government groups during 2009 have been largely rhetorical and have not indicated plans to carry out violent acts, but yet your government continues to carry out violent acts when it comes to wars and rumors of wars, along with abortions and other things that they're doing, unconstitutional things, even when it comes to taxes, and the list goes on. But yet this is not a threat. Your government officials, the higher ups behind closed doors doing disgusting things along with your celebrities, that's not considered a threat. Wow, what hypocrisy indeed. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because as you see, what's happening in China will continue to spread worldwide, coming to a police state near you, if not all over the world. But thankfully, with Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, we have nothing to fear because we are protected at all times. But it's important that you see this and know about all of this ahead of time. This is Truth Unveiled here, saying as always, Shalom.